Good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Lower Providence Township Board of Supervisors for Thursday, June 16th, 2016. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Good evening, Deb. Would you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Mr. Sardini.
Here.
Ms. Ekman.
Here.
Mr. Duffy.
Here.
Mr. McFarland.
Here.
Ms. Zimmerman.
Here.
Thank you very much. Solicitor Rice has some information regarding executive sessions.
Okay, I have two announcements. The board met on June 6th in executive session, and at that meeting discussed primarily personnel and also real estate. And earlier tonight, the board met prior to this meeting and again discussed personnel.
Thank you very much. First item on the agenda this evening is the consent agenda. It consists of the minutes of our meeting of June 2nd, as well as the meeting minutes from the various boards and commissions here in the township, monthly reports from our department heads, as well as fiscal matters. Adding two additional items to that would be the escrow releases for both the Lower Providence Community Center ambulance, as well as the Lower Providence Rod and Gun Club. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make that motion.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments from the board? From the audience? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next items on the agenda tonight are presentations, and I have the honor of giving a presentation to Corporal Robert Heim in recognition of his 15 years of service with Lower Providence Township, followed by a presentation of commendation of merit to Officer Joseph McCreary. So at this time, I'll ask Corporal Heim to come to the front of the room.
Other than Mr. Jones, they don't seem to be all that. They were going to authorize bids if they wanted.
Nah, well, I'll just read it straight. Robert M. Heim is a graduate of Norristown Area High School. He served in the United States Marine Corps as a crash fire rescue specialist. Rob's law enforcement career began in June of 1999 when he was appointed as a police officer with the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. He graduated from the Philadelphia Police Academy in January of 2000. On June 4th, 2001, Rob was sworn in as a police officer for Lower Providence Township. Rob has been assigned to the Patrol Division, Bicycle Patrol Unit, and he is a member of the department's Honor Guard. He was promoted to corporal earlier this year. During the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, he volunteered to respond. He was deployed for 2 weeks in the New Orleans region, assisting with law enforcement operations. Rob is a member of the Montgomery County Special Weapons and Tactics Central Region Team, and he serves as the team leader. He is a SWAT instructor on the local and national levels. Corporal Heim has received numerous letters of commendation in the course of his tenure with the department, including a commendation of merit and an official departmental letter of commendation. He was honored as the SWAT Officer of the Year in 2006 and was a top 4 finalist for the National SWAT Team Leader of the Year award in 2015. Corporal Heim, congratulations and thank you for 15 years of service to Lower Providence Township. Thank you, sir. I'll read the letter of commendation. On Thursday, December 24th, 2015, at approximately 12:40 a.m., Officer Joseph McCreary was on a routine patrol in the area of Surrey Lane and the Audubon Court Apartment entrance when he observed a silver Dodge Magnum coming from the rear of Audubon Village Drive. Officer McCreary was aware that a similar vehicle had been identified as a suspect vehicle in a number of commercial burglaries both in Lower Providence and surrounding jurisdictions. Officer McCreary conducted a vehicle stop at Egypt and Pinetown Roads. The driver said he was coming from a local bar but could provide few details, and Officer McCreary also observed white dusting on his clothing. When officers asked the driver to step from the vehicle, a second suspect was found secreted in the back seat. This suspect was sweating profusely and was also covered in white dust. Assisting officers responded to the Dollar Tree and determined that a burglary had occurred. Entry had been made by cutting through a wall in the common hallway. During this time, Officer McCreary received consent to search the vehicle from the driver. The search revealed tools that were warm to the touch. Based on the factors known to this point, the suspects were taken into custody and the vehicle was secured. The suspects were charged with the burglary of Dollar Tree and were held on bail. Detective Reginald Neary Jr. responded to assist with processing the store and vehicle. It was determined that forced entry was made into the Dollar Tree and a safe was entered. This was the same modus operandi as the other Dollar Tree burglaries and T-Mobile store burglaries that had occurred in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware since February of 2015. Detective Neely executed a number of search warrants on the vehicle and electronic equipment recovered from both suspects. As a result, he was able to connect the suspects to burglaries in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. He then hosted investigators from a number of jurisdictions to gather facts and compare evidence. Ultimately, Detective Neely linked and charged the suspects with 13 burglaries from Pennsylvania. Jurisdictions in New Jersey and Delaware also filed charges based on Detective Neely's facts and evidence. Dollar Tree stores reported a total loss of more than $70,000, with T-Mobile stores reporting a loss of more than $580,000. The actions of Officer Joseph M. McCreary III on December 24, 2015, represent an outstanding accomplishment through skilled and intelligent police work that directly resulted in the arrest of 2 serial burglary suspects. Accordingly, this commendation of merit is being conferred upon him in confirmation with General Order 303 before the Board of Supervisors of Lower Providence Township on the 16th day of June 2016. We thank you, Officer McCreary, and we congratulate you on your good work.
Quick comment. First for Corporal Heim. 2 words for Corporal Heim. Dedicated and loyal. He's a guy I count on for loyalty and for dedication. Whenever I need something with regard to loyalty or dedication, I can look to Rob. The best example of that is Katrina. It happened. I was looking for somebody to go to New Orleans with, and I didn't even have to look. I turned to Joe Dunbar at the time and said, I need Rob Heim to go. I called Rob. I think we were in a car. Once we got Pennsylvania Pima figured out, within a few days, we did a 21-hour direct drive from Pennsylvania to New Orleans and then spent 2 weeks helping them out down there. When I look at Rob, with what he's done with our SWAT team in the area, Rob became a SWAT team leader for a multi-jurisdictional SWAT team as a patrol officer, no rank. That says extremely high level of competence for what Rob does with SWAT, and he continues to do that day in and day out. So for that, thanks, Rob. Look forward to at least 10 more years while I'm here. If you stay any longer for Jackson, that's up to you. For Joe McCreary and Detective Neely, who was also going to be recognized tonight, but unfortunately couldn't make it. Joe, being a newer officer to our department at the time, was probably with us less than 6 months. Had been on his own probably 3 months with our department. To come up with a stop like this is an incredible act of a guy who just has the knack for finding things. He saw something, he recognized it, he acted upon it. Some people may just look the other way. You know, you get a little jaded in our career, but he took it upon himself to take that little bit of information, a car that looked like a car that we had heard about, took it to the next step, found probable cause to stop it, found information in that car that linked them to a crime, and then cleared a whole bunch of other stuff. We're probably talking close to $1 million in property that was stolen. Unfortunately, we may not be able to recover it because our understanding is most of the T-Mobile stuff was being sent overseas, probably within days of the burglary. But the fact of the matter is the burglary stopped after that night. So that's an exceptional stop, an exceptional clearance for a new guy to take that initiative and to have that desire and that tenacity to dig and find what we needed to. And then for Detective Neely, an incredible thing about that, technology nowadays is a wonderful thing, and Detective Neely took the technology that was available with some information that we found and was able to quickly link them definitively with information on technology that cleared a number of cases in 3 states that we're aware of, probably more, but at the very least 3 states. So an exceptional job by our people, and I look forward to many more. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The professionalism, dedication, and service of the members of our police department are second to none. On behalf of all the residents and the Board of Supervisors, please accept our gratitude for your service and protection of our residents. So thank you very much. We appreciate you all being here tonight. Moving on to new business. Item 3A, consideration of an agreement with Mark Consulting for economic and business development assistance, and our interim manager, Allison Rudolph, has information about that for us.
You have a proposal before you for professional services with Mark Consulting. The principal of that firm, Carmen Italia, is here with us this evening to give you a brief presentation on his experience and skills that he will bring to this effort in our community.
Good evening, Carmen. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Good evening. First off, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to make this presentation and to see how I can be of assistance in improving the tax base of the township and making it a better place for the residents. For those of you who don't know me, and as Allison had briefly mentioned, I was involved with the Montgomery County Industrial Development Corporation for 28 years. I've been in the economic development business for over 43 years. It all started back in 1973 when I came out of school and I worked for the Pennsylvania Department of Commerce. And I grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania, but they assigned me to a booming metropolis, 6 counties in the north central part of the state: Elk, Cameron, Jefferson, Clearfield, McKean, and Potter County, where there are more deer, bear, and rattlesnakes than there are people. After being there for 15 months, I requested a reassignment. And at the time, the Secretary of Commerce was Walter Rader. He contacted Peter Camille, who was chair of the party in the city, and they brought me to the Philadelphia region in August of 1974. At that time, my responsibility for the Department of Commerce was the promotion of loan and grant programs to business and industry that existed in the 5-county area. So I started off in Bucks County, worked my way into Chester County, came to Montgomery County, ended up in Delaware County and the city of Philadelphia. Over that period of time, I started expanding my relationships with the 5 economic development corporations that existed in the region. And as a result, Montgomery County came to me and offered me a position as deputy director of the Economic Development Corporation. My primary responsibility at that time was to promote sites and buildings in the Montgomery County area to business and industry, but also, and more importantly, was to administer 2 programs for the corporation. One was called the Distressed Communities Program. We were going in, and at the time, we were totally independent of the county government, and we had a substantial pool of money. We provided up to $10,000 for Conshohocken Borough before the revitalization took place, the Borough of Norristown, and the Borough of Pottstown. In addition to that, I had responsibility for what was also known as the Municipal Development Program. Now, the Municipal Development Program dealt more with townships. and one of them happened to be Lower Providence Township. And it was my responsibility to come in, work with the township staff, and we had the Economic Development Committee here to see what we could do to improve the business climate in the township. You have to remember, I was in my 20s. I really didn't know that much about economic development at that time. So I stayed in this position until 1984. Again, with all of my contacts with real estate developers, brokers, I became a known commodity. And I started getting job offers. So I left and I went to work for a company called Lots Realty in Horsham, Pennsylvania. I was vice president of marketing and sales for what was known as the Prudential Business Campus. Part of it was owned by the Prudential Insurance Company of America, and the other half was owned by the Government of Singapore Investment Corporation. We had 200 acres and over 2 million square feet of space. So I stayed there, and the real estate business can burn you out. I got a quick offer from PICO to work in their economic development department. Trust me, that was worse than working for state government. I lasted 9 months, went back into the real estate business just before the market crashed in 1990. The Economic Development Corporation came back to me and said, we need someone to revitalize or put some energy into this corporation and make us known again. So in April of 1990, 3 weeks before the market crashed, I went back to the corporation. Building on the knowledge that I had from the real estate business and some of the other things, I was influential in getting the Goddard Boulevard Bridge done for Lockheed Martin, for the revitalization with the County Redevelopment Authority in the start of Conshohocken Borough. We went down and got HUD grants for them. I did major road improvements in Horsham Township for General Instruments Corporation. I could go on and on. Over the years, I've done thousands of projects and created or retained thousands of jobs. Some of those that were here, Allmac still has a building here. I did a $100 million project for them up in the lower Salford area. Found the site, put the grants together, worked with the governor, and created that facility. At the same time, I helped 2 young men who walked into my office and said, we can no longer provide the services we need from our house or our garage and our basement. These 2 young men were the people who started Globus Medical. If you know anything about Globus Medical, they're on the other side of Trooper Road in the Valley Forge Business Center. Today, they went from 2 people to over 500 people and to a $450 million corporation. I was involved in that. I've obtained several grants and other things for more municipalities over this 20-year period. And as it happens, after spending that much time in one place, I decided it was time to retire. But my wife says retirement's not in my vocabulary. And as Bill can attest, I can't sit still. So I told the board I was going to retire, and I went on to be vice president of sales for Continental Bank, who, after 3 years, merged with Bryn Mawr Trust, and I decided not to go with them. I had 6 job offers, took the job as business development manager and manager of the Valley Forge office for Barry Isat and Associates. Over that 2 years that I've been there, I've been receiving calls saying, can we hire you as a consultant? So I decided that that's what I was going to do. I was going to go out, form my own consulting business, and do what I wanted to do after 43 years. And the reason I'm here tonight is I see a golden opportunity for Lower Providence Township with the improvements that have taken place at 422 on Trooper Road and what's to come with the Bettswood Bridge, we're going to start overcoming that stigma of having to cross that river, which has been an obstacle for years. People just hear the traffic day in and day out. We have vacant sites here that I think are underutilized. If we can do things like LRTA, the Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Act, which really doesn't hurt the township or the school district, it just helps to attract someone to the area and phase in the increase in assessed values. I just completed a 250,000 square foot warehouse in Hatfield Township and saved the young company over $1 million in taxes. The site that they went on was an Act 2 site and had been vacant for 35 years with only one possible prospect who looked at it. So with all of these things, I mean, I think I bring, a wealth of experience to the township, and I would love to help you because, as I said, I think this is a prime time for the township to make some real progress and fill up vacant buildings. My relationship with the real estate community, as well as the development community,